Hey, what's up, guys? It's your girl T. I'm back with another video. In this video, I'm going to be talking about health issues again, but this health issue is a different one for me to discuss. It's a little bit more personal. I still actually deal with the lupus and the kidney issues. For those of you who don't know about that, I made videos about that a few years back. So if you're interested, you can go check those videos out on my channel. But today I am going to be discussing, like I said, another health issue that's a little more personal. I went back and forth with myself because I didn't know if I wanted to be that open about this health issue, but I just decided that I think so many women probably deal with this issue and don't realize how common it actually is. So I'm going to talk about it today. All right. I don't know, any other way to get into it except to just let's get into it. All right. So the issue that I am currently dealing with is cervical dysplasia. Yes. So, let's see. I can give you a backstory. So, around like 2012, I was diagnosed with HPV, which, I mean, unless you're like living under a rock, you should know what HPV is by this point. Human papillomavirus. Um, because everybody talks about it now. But yeah, so that was around 2012. I was with a partner. I was dating a guy who I considered my boyfriend at the time. And that year that I went to get a pap smear, I hadn't had one in a few years. So just another side note. Before I was dating this guy, I was actually married. I was married, and for the few years that I was married, for whatever reason, I don't even know why. Like, it's silly when I actually think about it, but I wasn't going to get pap smears every year when I was married. So, I let a few years go by, and I ended up getting divorced. And a little bit after that, I started dating this guy, and I got a job, I got medical insurance, and it just occurred to me like, oh, I probably need to go. I'm sorry about the noise outside. I live on a downtown street, so there's always like something going on outside. But anyway, yeah, so I started dating this guy and decided, you know what, I need to go and have an annual checkup done. So I did that, and it's really crazy because I've never been the type of person. I'm kind of like a serial monogamous, right? I've never been the type of person that dates around. Like, if I start dating you and we're like, hey, we're together, that's what it is. I don't, I don't date this guy and then date this guy and like I'm having sex with 2 or 3 different guys. I've never operated like that. So I guess my mindset was just kind of like thinking like the pap smear was going to come back and everything was going to be normal, because that's how it normally is for me. But I got a call, maybe like a week after I got the pap smear. I got a call from the doctor's office, and they said, hey, we think, well, not we think, they said, hey, your test came back abnormal. And so I said, what does that mean? Because this has never happened to me before. What does that mean? It means you have an abnormal pap smear, and then the nurse told me you have HPV. So at this time, remember, this was back in 2012. I hadn't really heard a whole lot about HPV, but even at that time, she told me, she's like, "Oh, it's it's actually really common. A lot of women get it, a lot of people get it. Um, it's something we can talk about, but it's something that normally for most people will clear up, and once your immune system kicks in, the HPV will clear up, and you should be good." So I was like, okay, all right. So I think what happened was some time went by, and then what they wanted to do was have me come back in a few months, just to check in and see, how things were doing or whatever. And when I came back, it was even worse news. I did another pap, and then this time they told me, okay, now we see some cells on your cervix that look precancerous, right? And I skipped the part. I'm sorry, I did skip something. Before they told me this, I had to come back into the office for what's called a colposcopy, and this is basically like a cervical biopsy, right? So after that, after I had the cervical biopsy, then they called me and said, "Hey, we see these cells on your cervix, and they're like precancerous cells." So I'm like, "What? Precancerous cells? How is this happening?" And they explained to me this happens most of the time in women who have HPV. That's not clearing up. It's not clearing up. Your immune system is having trouble, struggling clearing this virus. So this was a very scary time, very scary news for me to get for the first time. Nothing like this has ever happened to me before. So she said, the doctor is saying, like, I want you to come into the office because I want to discuss with you some options, as far as treatment. So I said, okay. So I go into the office, and she explained to me this procedure, which is called a LEEP procedure. LEEP. It stands for something. Let me just see if I can look it up really quick, because it's like a really long name. I guess that's why they abbreviate it. But yeah, she presented that to me as one of my options, and hold on a second. I'm just gonna. Okay, so it stands for Loop Electrosurgical Excision Procedure, right? If you want to know more about that, you can go look it up. But the GYN, the doctor, she presented that to me as one of my options. And then she also presented to me the option of having a hysterectomy. Now keep in mind, back in I'm 43 now, right? But I'm sorry. Okay, so keep in mind, like I said, I'm 43 years old now. Back then, I probably was like 32 or something like that. So her presenting the idea of having a hysterectomy was just like, whoa, hold on, lady. And I don't have kids, right? But at 32 years old, I didn't know that it was going to turn out like this. I didn't know that, I wasn't going to have kids. In my mind, I thought, well, I might not have kids, and then I might want to have kids someday, but at least I want to have the option. So that, and to me, in my mind, back then, at 32 years old, was immediately like not an option. It was off the table, right? So these are the only two options she's presenting me with. This is conventional medicine. So I said, okay, let's go ahead with the leap. Also, keep in mind, again, this is the first time anything like this is ever happening to me. Back then, I was putting a lot more faith in conventional medicine and conventional doctors. So I really, was trusting that this leak procedure was going to be the solution. I asked her, all the questions I wanted to know about it and everything like that. And, she really made it seem like, once we do this, it's not likely that you're going to keep suffering from this. It's not likely that the cells are going to come back. Now, she had to give me a disclaimer. She, because she would be lying if she said, oh yeah, you're going to be all good after this. So she had to give me that disclaimer. She had to say, now there is a possibility that, this could happen again and that the precancerous cells could come back. But she was very, very persuasive in her approach. And she really made it seem like it's really not likely that that's going to happen. She's like, I do these all the time. It's very high success rate, blah, blah, blah. Right? So my mind, again, back then, I'm a little bit younger than I am now. It's putting a lot of faith and trust in the doctors. I said, okay, let's do it. Let's go ahead. Let's do this leap. And I should probably explain exactly what a leap is. So basically, they're going in, right? They open you up, just like you go to the GYN. They put a speculum in there. They open you up so they can get a good view of your cervix. They go in, and they're basically taking a piece off, taking the piece off where they see like the precancerous cells. And let me just, I'm going to read a technical definition of what this is, just so we can be clear. Okay, a leap is a procedure to remove abnormal tissue from your cervix being the bottom part of your uterus, located at the top of your vagina. It may be done to confirm a cancer diagnosis or treat precancerous conditions of your cervix. During a leap, a thin wire loop is used to excise, this is a fancy word for cut out, is used to excise or cut out abnormal tissue, right? So yeah, that's basically what it is. And all of that said and done, I went through with that procedure at that time. I had it done. I had my mom and my best friend go in with me They went in, they held my hand, they were there, they were very supportive. And yeah, I did it. I had it done. I can't remember if I got put to sleep. I'm thinking I did. I'm thinking they put me to sleep because I can't imagine like being awake for that. I think they put me to sleep. And then they did it. They did what they had to do, and I woke up and I was there, and my mom was there, and my friend was there, and yeah, that was that. Later on, my dad came down and my cousin, and everybody was just like really supportive. So that was that experience. After the procedure, I bled for a little while. I think maybe like a week or so. And then after that, because I kind of had the mindset that was like, okay, I had a little piece of my cervix removed, but it's okay. It was all to treat this condition, and I'm going to be good after this. That was kind of like my mindset at the time. So like directly after that, I didn't really think too much about it, honestly. For months, I didn't really, it was just like, I just kind of moved on with my life. But then I ended up moving to New Jersey, and when I moved here, I had to go through the process of finding new doctors. And the first time I saw a doctor here, a GYN, she did a PAP, and the PAP came back abnormal, right? Now, when I was still in Maryland, when I was still in Baltimore, I had actually a few PAPs done after I had the LEAP procedure, and they came back telling me like, okay, you still have the HPV, but the precancerous cells are gone. So that part of it is still okay, but you do still have the HPV. And I was like, oh, okay. But when I moved to Jersey and started seeing a GYN here, she, the first time she came back and told me, yeah, your pap is abnormal. And then she had to do a colposcopy again, and she told me that I have a low grade cervical dysplasia. So anybody who's ever been through this, you kind of know like this process. If your doctor does a colposcopy and they find that you have low grade dysplasia, most likely what they're going to do is say, okay, let's wait and just monitor this. We're going to watch it. We can have you come back in 6 months for another PAP, just to check and see where things are. And that's exactly what happened to me. She's like, I'm not going to do anything yet. We're just going to monitor it. And so that went on, I want to say, for a few years. That went on for a few years. So now just thinking about that is, in hindsight, I could have been treating this thing or doing things to at least try to prevent it from going from low grade to high grade. You know what I mean? But when you deal with doctors in conventional medicine, there's so much that they don't tell you, so much that they don't share with you. And it's really unfortunate. It's being somebody who has been caught up with going back and forth to doctors and hospitals for the last like 16 years of my life. You know, I've just kind of evolved to a point where I take whatever bits and pieces that I feel I can use as far as what a conventional doctor says, and then, you know, I try to go and do my own research and just try to follow my gut and use a little common sense. I know I just really got off on a tangent right there, but yeah, so low grade dysplasia I was having for like a few years. And this, when I came here, I probably started seeing her maybe like 2016, something like that. So the last pap smear I had was very recent. It was last month in June, and this is 2021, sorry. Yeah, so for those few years, I had a low-grade dysplasia that wasn't being treated. It was just being watched and watched and monitored. So, I don't know. It's just I just think it's really unfortunate that a lot of women are probably in the same situation and don't realize that there are things you can at least try. I'm not saying that, you know, anything else is going to cure what you're going through, giving you a guarantee, because I don't know that for sure. I haven't even started this treatment or this journey that I'm on yet, but that's what this video is about. So I'm going to show you some stuff in a minute, but to get back to the backstory, fast forward, like I said, to June 2021, and now my GYN doctor is telling me, okay, so now, you know, again, your pap smear comes back. It's abnormal. Pap smear is always abnormal. I really expect them to say that at this point. So that's abnormal. But then she says, and this is again after a colposcopy, right? So she did a colposcopy. She's like, oh, okay, now you have high grade cells. You have high grade dysplasia. So I'm like, oh God, not this again. Right? This is really, for women who've been through this, I'm telling you, this is like the most nerve-wracking thing. Because just the thought of cervical cancer it's really scary. It's a really scary thing. But yeah, she says you have high grade cells again, and then she starts asking me about, she's saying, you told me you had a leak before, right? I said yes. And she said, okay, I think I want to do another one of those. I think I want to do that again. And immediately I was just kind of like, oh, you know, I really don't want to go through that whole thing again. And it really, I mean, for anybody who's planning to go through that, it wasn't really that I had a bad experience, because I didn't. You know, like I said, they put me to sleep, and when I woke up, it was over. So it wasn't that the experience was bad. I didn't have like any real pain afterwards or anything. Maybe like the day of the procedure. Like, I woke up, you know, I went home, maybe like a couple hours later, I felt very, very light cramps. which I took some Tylenol for, and it was okay. So I didn't really have a bad experience at all. So I don't, I don't want to, anybody who's thinking of going through with that, I'm not trying to speak horrible of that procedure or that experience. I'm just really trying to tell you my experience and what, the journey that I'm on currently. So that's that. But yeah, so when she told me that she wants to do another leap, she gave me a date and everything. She's like, "Oh yeah, we can do it in next month. I have this time available, blah blah blah." And the whole time she's talking, like, I hear what she's saying, but my mind is just like far out. Like, my mind is like somewhere else in the clouds or something. I don't know. It was just really hard to concentrate on what she was saying. I think at one point she even had to say, "Hello, Therese, are you there?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm here. I'm here." But so that's where we are now. That's where I am now. Like, I really do not want to have that procedure done again. I don't know. It's just the principle. I don't want to keep having pieces of my cervix cut out. And like I said, I'm 43 years old now. So before I start putting myself through that, I probably would just have a hysterectomy. But I'm not sure. And I know some people are going to be like, "Well, you're too old now to have kids anyway." But I work in a fertility clinic, and I see women older than me come in there, and they, grow their eggs, and they come in with a partner, and they do different things. They're able to still get pregnant. So for me, that's not completely, totally 100% off the table. Like, my mind isn't made up like, "Oh, okay, I don't want to have kids at this point." My mind isn't set on that yet. So the idea of having a hysterectomy is kind of like, I don't think I want to do that. So yeah, here we are. I have consulted with 2 naturopathic doctors about my condition and about getting treatment. And I've actually already seen one of them. I've seen her on the 12th. That was Monday, earlier this week. I'm not going to mention anybody's names because I don't know, like, the legalities is, I don't know. I just better safe than sorry. So I won't say any names, but she's a doctor and she practices out of Pennsylvania. And like I said, I'm in Jersey, so I had to travel to see her. Which to me, I think it was worth it. But one thing to keep in mind is that when you want to seek treatment from a natural doctor, most insurances don't cover that, right? So I had to go into it with that mindset, knowing that I was going to have to pay out of my pocket. As far as I know, most insurances don't really cover things like that. And if somebody knows something different, please hit me up, because this is probably going to get expensive if I have to keep seeing these doctors because I'm paying out of pocket. But yeah, one of them I've already seen. So I had a phone consult with her, and then I went to actually visit her in person. And she has already given me a regimen that I have not started as of yet because I had to order all the products and supplements and whatnot to be able to start. But I'm just looking at this paper that she gave me. She gave me a paper where she wrote down, like everything she wanted me to do. She gave me some supplements, and what I want to show you guys in this video, she gave me some nutrition things too, like vegetables, fruits I should eat, healthy fats, avoid these foods, blah blah blah. She gave me a list of supplements to take, and I know sometimes you guys hear about the folic acid. I researched and watched a lot of videos on dysplasia, cervical dysplasia, before I decided I wanted to seek treatment from a natural doctor, because I just wanted to know other people's experiences and what was out there or whatever. So a lot of videos that I saw, a lot of people were talking about the folic acid, and sure enough, that's one of the supplements that she recommended for me to start taking. Now, there's other supplements on here too, but that's definitely one of them. But what I want to show you guys, I know my mouth keeps getting dry. What I want to show you guys is the stuff that she told me to get to make my own suppositories. Alright? Okay, so the first thing she told me to get was coconut oil. Coconut. Right? The next thing, some ground matcha. Right? And this is like, it's really like green tea powder. But she told me to get some organic matcha ground up. Some aloe vera gel. Right? And I got this yesterday from a local health food store. And then, last but not least, some tea tree oil. And this we already had here because we try to keep this on deck. It's good for a lot of different things, so we already had this. But yeah, so those 4 things, and then this, which is actually the suppository mold. Let's try to open this up. So I ordered this, if anybody is actually interested. I ordered this off of Amazon. Oh, I opened it the wrong way. Again, I apologize for the noise on the street. I probably should have did this video later tonight, but it's okay. Okay, so these are, so this is how the molds look, the suppository molds, right? And this is the little pipette thing that comes with it. So what I'm gonna do, I guess, is all the ingredients that I just showed you, I'm first gonna get a mixture of all of those together, mix it all up, and then just take this little pipette, and so it's not messy, you know, just suck some up and then put it into these little, put it into the little holes like that, right? It's so noisy here. But it's Friday, like it's Friday afternoon, so I guess everybody's in weekend mode already. Um, yeah, so that is my plan. That's what I'm gonna do. And this is like today, these just came. I just came from downstairs getting these um, from the mailbox. They just came. And like I said, we just got the aloe vera gel yesterday from the health food store. But now I have everything for the suppositories. I had to order the supplements too separately. So I have that order coming. I'm still waiting for that. But all the suppository stuff is here now. So I am going to mix this up probably in a few, because I want to be able to use one tonight. And I don't know, we'll see how this goes. So this is the first natural doctor that I saw on Monday earlier this week. I have another appointment with another natural doctor on the 27th of this month. So, and that appointment is in Connecticut. So I actually have to travel for that too. It's going to be a lot of traveling involved in this journey, but I don't know. I want to try a more natural approach. I want to try something different. Like I said, I really don't want to have to keep having pieces of my cervix cut off. Like, the idea of that just doesn't sit right with me. Before I close this video out, one thing I do want to mention to you guys is that, like I said earlier in the beginning of the video, I still deal with my other health issues. So I still have the lupus, I still have the kidney issues, and I think the reason, most doctors think the reason that my HPV never cleared up over all these years is because of the lupus, because I have lupus and I take medications that suppress my immune system. So, my immune system is not kicking in the way it should. It's not clearing up the HPV. And now that I think about it, I think I already said that in the beginning of this video, but it's okay. I have a lot on my mind. My mind's like all over the place. But yeah, so I know some people, like I said, it's very, very common. To anybody out there who's watching this video because you were just told that you have HPV, it's very, very common. Don't feel like, it's something that you did or didn't do, or it's your fault. Like, it's a very, very common condition. So I just don't want people to be walking around feeling like that, because I know when I got diagnosed with it, that's exactly how I felt, in the beginning, until I started finding out. I started talking to like some of my friends, and they're like, oh yeah, I had that. I'm like, what? Like, so yeah, it's very, very common. The only difference, as far as in my case, is that it never cleared up. And again, they think that, the lupus and the medications I take play a part in that. So anyway, I think I'm going to end this video here. and this is the start of this journey of me, taking a more natural approach. I don't know what's gonna happen, but I'm really hoping for positive results, and I hope that you guys will come along on this journey with me. I will be doing videos as I go along, just letting you guys know what's going on. So